When you were a kid, was there a superpower that you wanted to have? Back when I was young, Superman was kind of the number one superhero, but there were. And for any of you who are kids now, is there a superhero you have? There's superpowers you would like. Well, there's something interesting that circulated in social media. And it asked the question, what useless superpower would you like? Now, there were a lot of responses to this. One person said, the useless superpower win every time I play rock. Another one said, here's the superpower. When I pick up one sock, the next sock I pick up would be a matching pair. I've ever done the laundry, I'm sure you all have, you know what that's about. Anyway, it was kind of a fun question. And I wonder if you have something that you. But our reading today from the Gospel according to Luke is about Jesus sending out 70 in our reading, or some Bibles say 2 people, and he gives them the power to do what he's asking them to do. And that is to go out and help other people, to heal people, to share the good news of the faith with them. And then when those 70 followers of Jesus came back, they rejoiced over what they had accomplished. Luke doesn't tell us this, but I would guess many, if not every one of them, had to say, I accomplished more than I thought I ever could. Which be by doing what Jesus asked me to do, I just wasn't sure I could do it, but I did it in the spring. Late Corey Ten Boom, you remember her, a survivor and author, wrote about a woodpecker who tapped his beak against the trunk of a tree just as lightning struck the tree and destroyed it. And the woodpecker flew away and thought to himself, I didn't know there's so much power. Then Ten Boom wrote this. When we share the gospel with people, there is a danger that we might think, I am the job. But, she said, know that our strength comes here. And that was the strength that Jesus' followers went out and accomplished great things. And then they came back rejoicing. I think Jesus, by what he said, wanted to remind them that really it was the Holy Spirit who had done the work. The Holy Spirit had worked through them to accomplish even great things. And so he said, do not rejoice for what you have done, but rejoice that your names are in heaven. Rusty Stevens told a story about when he was trying to hurry and mow the lawn. And then his 6-year-old son named Mikey came up, and Mikey wanted to help. So the 6-year-old put his hands on him, and his dad decided, well, I'll just follow along. Father did the job done very quickly, but he thought what was most important was to work with his son and go at his son's pace. As they were mowing the yard together in this way, Rusty said, this thought came to him. This is the way my Heavenly Father allows me to help build Him by working with my weak hands. Jesus sent the 70 out. People who may have considered their hands to be maybe too weak to do much. But he sent them out to continue his work and asked them to trust they would succeed if they had it in him. And then we had the reading from the Gospel according to Matthew, where Jesus gave them the same message. He said to them, now it's your turn. Your turn to go out and continue my work. He said to them specifically, go and make disciples. of all nations. Now, to effectively be about this work, I think Jesus knew that followers needed to really have a grasp of all the problems there were in the world and all the needs that people had. I think he knew that his followers needed to feel the hurts and to hear the questions, especially the questions of those who had not heard the good news of the faith and who were living their life day to day, really with little hope. Barbara Taylor Brown told in a book she wrote about seminary experiences. She said in the first term, she and some seminary classmates were sent out to be chaplains in nursing homes and hospitals. I did some similar work where I became a pastor. But then in the second term, Barbara Taylor Brown and classmates were sent out to soup kitchens and homeless shelters in a rough part of the city where they were going to school. And she said they saw the poverty and the injustice that so many people there had to deal with. Most days, all we did was bandage them up and send them back out on the street. But I think they saw what Jesus was calling his first century disciples to see the great needs of the world. Be a world full of hurting people who needed to know, experience the justice, the hope, and the mercy of God. Jesus also sent the 70 people out, I think, for another reason. He sent them out to continue his work so that they would know the joy of helping other people. I'm sure that Jesus found his joy in helping them. And I think he knew his followers would too, if they had the faith to give it a try. Pastor Fred Pratt told about being pastor of the church, where most of the young people in the church had a very nice vacation every summer. He said that the people in this church were so well off that their children didn't have to work. And so to their surprise, he suggested, let's do a work trip, mission trip on spring break. And so the youth went to a poor, actually very poor area, where they spent the day repairing houses. And then at night they slept on the floor of the church. In brief, they witnessed the great poverty in this area. A poverty that the youth who went on this trip really had, most of them at least, never been in touch with before. And they thought, in Fred Craddock's words, in reality. Now, some of us may have been on such a mission trip or been in other circumstances where we saw such things, where we also got a baptism into reality. And then, that, we may have been inspired to ask, now how can we continue to be about the work that Jesus did that's calling us to continue? Braddock reported he didn't know how the youth were going to respond to this mission trip. And when they got back, one of the youth in the group, this is the best tired I have ever. The Bible talks about us putting our faith into action, going out to continue the work of Jesus, and as we do, trusting that we will know a joy is greater than we might have ever. Kathleen Brahoni spent a year of her life traveling around the United States looking for stories about people whose lives have been blessed, greatly affected through their Christian faith. And then she wrote a book about these experiences. Here's one experience she told about. There's a couple named Bill and Susan Belfiore. They lived in Princeton, New Jersey, and had a good, comfortable prosperous, happy life. But one day they were watching a news show about orphans in Romania who had AIDS. Soon after that, Susan took leave of her job for 6 months, flew to Romania. She and her husband adopted 5 children from the orphanage there. And so what happened to their comfortable life? Well, here's what Philadelphia Rating said about that. The children are incredible, and our life right now is beyond anything we could imagine. These children bring aliveness into our lives, and we would never have lived so. I think that Jesus and his 70 followers we read about, and so many other followers that he's had down through the years, would have said something similar about the work of Jesus that they were called. They might say something like this: it's better than anything we could. And I think we might all agree there are evil forces operating in this world. We might explain what that's all about in different ways. But I think every day we're reminded of instances of injustice, of cruelty, hatred, just to name three. Again, however we would explain these forces, I think there are things we all have to fight. But with the power that Jesus gave his followers, those 70 who went out in faith to do his work, well, I think it's clear from their report that they overcame those evil forces, or they never would have accomplished it. And today, through our faith, and with the help of Jesus and his accompanying spirit, we are asked to trust that we too can step out in faith and accomplish great things. Things that we might have never imagined that we could do, like those 70 did in our reading today. So it might be fun to have some useless superpowers, maybe to win every game of rock, paper, scissors, or knowing that every time we picked up 2 socks, it'd be a match. But Jesus calls us to rely on the power that he gives us, our faith in him. And through that faith, take a hard, honest look at the world around us. And then with him, he might be calling us to step out. Continue his work. And when we do, we can't expect that our work is always going to be easy. I mean, it won't always be easy. But I think we can expect a real joy to come from what we accomplish. We follow Jesus' call as we step out in faith, and with his help, overcome those powers that would keep us from accomplishing what he has called us to do. And then we hope that just as we have responded to his call when he said, now it's your turn, that the next generation will do the same. That perhaps inspired by our response of other followers of Jesus, that when Jesus says to them, now it's your turn, the next generation will follow the lead of those sinners and say, Lord, here I am. Send me. I am willing to step out in faith, willing to do my best, help continue the work that you are calling me